What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. This is your first time tuning in. Please make sure you don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and if you've done that before, thumbs up. So today I'm going to show you guys how to make this logo. So I actually have two logos here. This is the first one. Let me make this big so you can see it. And then this is the where is it? This is the second. Sorry, this is the second one. It's actually a PNG one. The other one is not a PNG logo. So I'm going to be showing you guys something. So the first thing I need to do now is create composition, and new composition is 1920 by 1080. So now next thing I have to do is right click over here, new, and then solid. Click OK, and then I'll start out with this logo here, the abstract. Now you can see this logo, it has, let me bring this resolution to full. You can see that this logo has a background. So now scale this up, then select the solid layer, this black solid. Let me rename this to elements so you guys can understand. Elements, I'm just going to leave it that way, and then select this. I'm going to be adding the elements to the elements layer. Double click on this. Sorry about any of the noise actually at the back. So the next thing we want to do now is come over and select the top layer, which is our logo, and then go over to layer and then click on auto trace. Now this is where this thing comes in play. You can see that this logo is not a PNG logo, it has a background, so we cannot select alpha. The only time we need to use alpha is when the logo has it's a PNG logo. Like, let me now for this, now if I should click alpha, it might also work sometimes. So if I should click alpha, you can see it did not trace well. The inside stuff, this red and the black stuff here, was not traced, so which means it did not work. So I'm going to be doing this again, layer, auto trace, and then I'm going to be changing this to luminance because it has different colors. So I'm going to click OK, and you can see that this works now. It has different parts, and also here we won't be needing this other square part, so we have to double click on this and delete this. Then let me show you if the logo or the stuff is a PNG logo like this one. Let me bring it in. PNG tree. Okay, this is it. I should bring this in. If it's this one, if I should go over back to the layer and then click on auto trace and then luminance, you cannot use luminance for this. So if I should click luminance now, let's see if it works. You can see it does not work. There's no tracked out map. But if I should select this, the same thing, and then click layer, auto trace, and then change this to alpha because it's a PNG stuff, alpha, then click OK, you can see it works. You can see it. So now let's go back to this first one we selected. Now another way, let's do this. Another way of also doing this manually, if you don't want to use auto trace, is by let's say I delete this stuff now. If I don't want to do the auto trace manually, because that's the first thing you need to do if you want to make your logo to 3D from elements, After Effects. So let me scale this up a little bit. Let's say I don't want to use the auto trace. I can manually just come and then use the pen to draw. This is actually good also, but it's actually time consuming, and then it's something else, like it's time consuming. Let me change it. Press M on your keyboard and change the max part. Make sure it's always as none, and then you have to select the other one. Like it's another way of also doing this. Okay, here this is not going to be perfect. I'm just showing you for the sake of tutorial. And then here, so it's another none. I have to change the max part, second max part, which is this green one, none. Okay, so we have the none now. So the next thing we need to do is come over to our elements. I don't want to be using that way because the one I did here is not straight, so I'll be using the automatic max given to us. And make sure your max is always at none. I'm going to do this again, layer, auto trace, and then I will leave it as, since it's not a PNG, luminance, and then click OK. Now it's fully traced, but I'm going to be deleting this top one here. Double click and then delete. So now we have two and shape. This is one shape. You can see it. We have both the red and the black. Okay, so now select the element layer, go over to effect control, and then come over to customize layer, and then custom text map, then click here and then select the abstract, which is this one. Select that and then click scene setup. It's just same way as we did those 3D text. The next step is click on extrude, and then you can see you have your logo here. But let's say you want to add a color now. Let's say you want to add in a color. If we should click now, I want to add in a red color. Let's say physical materials, physical, and I want to add the red color. You can see it's a red color, but there's a problem here. Now if you could look back at this logo here, this one, it has two different colors. We have the red and the black. So now in order for you to get the red and the black, this is what you need to do. Now you need to select this abstract layer, because as far as there's a different color, every color has to be on its own layer. So what you need to do now is select this abstract, and then I'm going to be duplicating this. Now I'm going to rename this just so that you guys could understand. Abstract, I'm going to name this one as black, and then I'm going to be naming this other one as red. And also remember, the shape, the mask bar which is on the layer, is what the element 3D is going to use to form your 3D shape. So go over to the black, and then you see this red part, because if you could zoom closer, you can see that these things are not really connected, even though they are not that straight. Just so double click on this red part and then delete it. So then go over to the one that says red, then double click on the black and then delete it. So now on the red we have only the red side marked, and then on the black we have only the black side marked. So the next thing you have to do is come back to the element layer, go back to customize core, and then you can look, okay, we already have the red, so go on to part 2, select the black, go back to your scene setup. Now you can see we only have one side, which is the red. You can see it, we only have the red. So the next thing we have to do now is click on extrude. Now if to check, now we'll click on the second, which this is the second one which has been made. If you turn this off now, you can see it. Okay, this is the new one that has been made. The new one's at the top. This is the new one. So come down here and then change the part. You know, the other one's on part 2, so you can see it. So now we need to take it to this part so it forms that shape, and then adjust it by ourselves manually. So as you can see it, now we have a shape, that the shape of that stuff. Now I can easily just change this to a shiny black color. So if I should come back here now, and then let me turn off these 2 layers at the top. You can see it here. Let me add the 3D camera, new camera, and then if I should press C on my keyboard to zoom in, this is what I should get. Let me zoom in, take it to the side. So you can see it's now a 3D shape. You can see it really easy. Within how many minutes you've already made a 3D shape. Now let's move on to the advanced part of that video I actually showed you at the beginning of what we're going to be making now. So now I'm going to be deleting these 2 things here, cleaning this one and this. I'm going to be using that new logo for this. Let's say okay, I'm still going to be using the abstract, deleting the camera. So let me scale this up a bit so it's bigger. So the next thing I have to do is come over to layer, auto trace, and since it's a colored stuff, click OK. I already have this, so I want to use everything as one. I don't want to duplicate it into 2 different colors. I want to use just one color for it. So I'm going to select this top and then delete this from the top. Come over to elements, go over to effect control, under the customize layer or custom layer, select the abstract, and then click on scene setup. Now that shape was not actually traced correctly, Oh, it's already, this was the one I was actually in the layer before. So click on extrude, and then we have a shape here. So the first thing I'm going to do is go over to physical, and then I'm going to select and double down. Okay, this looks good. Okay, that's it. So the next thing we have to do now is change the bevel over here. If you slide this down, you see different copies of textures and bevel. So I'm going to be adding one to make it 5 bevel copy, which will be added at the back, which is this white one you see in here. So the next thing I need to do now is come over to the bevel. Let me take this closer. It's a bit more closer. For the red, I'm going to extrude this a bit. Extrude this a bit to the middle. And then for this white, I'm going to be taking this a little bit forward. And then it comes out a bit. Okay. So we have one red, white, and then for this black part, we will leave that part for now first. So we have this here. Really looking good, really looking good, really looking good. So the next thing we need to do is add in a plane. Create a plane. I'm going to increase the size of the plane to about 10 by 10. I'm going to be rotating this by orientation by, I think, minus 90. Okay, so we got minus 90. So I have to zoom this in now, and then so I have to make sure this part fits in at the back of the texture a little bit in. If you should slide back in, you should see the shape. And make the plane model a two-sided shape, so you can see both sides of the two-sided plane. So good. So you can see both the back and the front. So you can see this. So now we have this now. So the next thing we need to do is make this golden texture, adding the other ones. So go over to the red one, this first one, and then go over to materials, physical, and then select the gold texture. We need to first of all change this one at the front so we can see what we're doing. So we have the golden texture now. It's looking all good. So the next thing we need to do is adding texture to that gold color to make it look more. So go over to scene material. I'm going to right click and then remove unused material. So we have just this the textures that we're using. So for this gold, select this, and then I need to add some texture to this. So you should this. I'm going to be selecting this one and then drag it in, and then I'm dropping it at the normal bump, which is this one here. So you notice as soon as I drop it, you can see the face of the texture has changed a little bit. And then for the glossiness, I will be dropping this other one, this glossiness. Come over here and then straight to this glossiness and then drop it here. Amazing. Now you can see it's changing. The face of the texture is actually changing now. So go over to the texture. So go over to this extrude texture, and then come over to this UV mapping, and then change the UV repeat to about 5 by 5, and I think by 5, to make, now you can see the whole thing is now properly shaped. So now we have to do the same thing to this next red texture here. So we have to select the red texture and then drag in this gold over to the shiny, which is this next red one. So now we have two gold, and then we need to make this last white one another golden texture again. Gold. Oh, sorry about that. We are going to be leaving that white texture. We need to make now. So now we have at least two gold here. So we need to make this black one a gold, this white texture gold. So we got two black and one gold. I mean three gold and two black. So now it's how it's looking. All good. So now the next thing we need to add in another texture again to this front, which was that shiny black front you saw. So I'm going to be clicking on extrude, which is this one now. So let me bring it out a bit so you guys can see it too. Wow. So I'm going to be scaling this in to make it look small, really tiny and flat. And then I'm going to be scaling it down. Come over here, bevel. I'm going to reduce on the extrude. I'm going to take it down. I know you guys can see it well, so let me shut down the plane layer so you guys can see what I'm doing. So now you guys can see it clearly. Just want to shrink it down a little bit. Expand edge. I'm going to take all this edge down so you guys can see it clearly now. So let me use the direction button to move it back. Now yeah, I think this is good enough. Let me extrude this a bit. Let me scale this a bit. Scale. Just scale it a little bit. Yeah, this is good enough. So now what we're going to be adding, go over to your physical, your materials, and then physical, add this back black outline. So now while we have this, so now now we have to go back to, there's one thing I forgot to add. I say I'm going to turn off this abstract. So now we already have it here, but how about the lightning we saw about at the intro? Because if you can check, there's no lightning, nothing here. So come back to your project manager. I'll be dropping everything at the description of this video so you guys can download it. So I already have this glowing environment, as you can see it. So like 16 seconds is glowing. So the next thing you need to do is come over to your element layer, go over to your effect control, customize layer, and then this time you're not using customize text and max, we are going over to custom texture and mapping. Click this and then click on this, which is the glowing layer. So I'm going to turn this off and then go over back to your scene. Now go over to your black, which is this are the black. I'm going to right click this and then click and reset. So once you click reset, it turns like that. Click on, for the two layers, click on reset. So now probably we need to shape in one of these one of this gold, and we need to decrease the size of one of these golden texture so it could actually fit in, which is this one here. I need to reduce the extruded part. This should be at the middle, sorry, and this one here should move a little bit to the front. Sorry about that. You just need to align everything so everything will be looking good. This is the first white. The second white is what we need to align to be here. So let me change the Z position, the Z offset of the second white. Okay, see it here, but it's really tiny. Okay, here it is. So I'm going to be making this middle gold to get a little bit smaller. you just need to take your time to make sure everything looks good. Okay, this is it. This is the first one. So I'm going to reduce the extruded size and then take this a little bit to the front. Now good, so we have this now. So now I'm going to click on this texture, which is the white one. It's also the one at the, you have two whites. You can actually make it just one though. So I'm going to go over to, which is the first one, go down to luminance, just slide down. You can see luminance here. Increase the intensity of the luminance. You can see it's getting very white, and then click on use diffuse color. Now come up back here to the come back here to the texture and then click on diffuse. Select this drop down arrow and then select, you can see this was a layer added to back on After Effects. Click OK. Normally my graphics card is not that strong enough. You should have seen the texture show its picture here. So I'm going to be increasing the brightness to at least 50%. Okay. And luminance, I'm also going to be adding that to it too. Pixel. And then increasing the brightness to at least about 40 will be good enough. So here we go. Also the two layers are already made with luminance. So now if I should turn back this layer now, the plane layer, now we're done with this. If I should turn back the plane layer now, you can see it now. We haven't actually seen anything yet, no reflection, no nothing yet. So now go over to the material, physical, and then I'll be adding the, let me go over to Pro Shader. You guys need to download, I'll be leaving a link to download this. So I'm adding this metal, this black light metal. Oh sorry, I made a mistake. On the plane model, metal black. And I'm also going to go over to the UV mapping of this, and then I'm also going to be changing this to 10 by 10. So now we have a black metal ground. So now I'll also come over to the plane model and then right click, change this reflective mode to mirror surface. So you can see now it's actually reflecting the light on top of the logo. So now if we should go back to After Effects, now this is what you get. It's looking as if there's nothing on it. So now let me add the camera so we can see it. New, and then camera. Make sure it's a 2-node camera. So as you guys can see it now, it's looking really shiny and gold stuff, and it's reflecting the light that comes out from this part of the logo. So now we need to make more adjustments to this to make it look like the one we saw in the video. So now go back to your element layer, scene setup, select the text, the model, the 3D extruder texture, and then change it from high to extreme to make sure they are all of high res. Extreme. This is good. This makes it look good now. It increase the visibility of this, make in every part sharp. You can see it. So the next thing we need to add in an environment that makes it look more reflective and shiny, because a good environment also makes everything look good. So now come over to your environment. If you have any one, I already have some environments here. Let's see how this one looks like. You can see the environment always affect everything around there. So I like it to be a little bit dark. I can add, let me choose from my 2K environment. You can pick anyone from yours, guys. Doesn't really need to be. Okay, you can see this is a golden environment. Now this looks a little bit dark, but it makes everything shiny. Let me come back to the environment and then I increase the brightness a bit. Don't want it to be that dark. Okay, good. Saturation, let me take it down a little bit. Okay, click OK, and then okay, I think this part is good for now. So wow, you can see how it's looking nice, reflecting all around. Next thing we have to do is come over to your come down here over to your render setting under physical environment, increase the exposure to about 1.2. You can see every change we make will also be affecting. Then come down to lighting and then change this from none to cinema. So it makes things everything look bright. And then you can also turn on the ambient occlusion to add this dark shadow, like everything has a shadow. You can also activate the shadow, but we don't want to do that now. I'm just trying to skip that out so that I will actually get a fast rendering, but you can actually turn that on. But for mine, I'm going to turn this off. I just don't want to add it for now. I can turn this on later. So I'm going to duplicate this layer, the element layer, and at the top I'm going to change the top one to element glow, because I want to add a glow effect to this. And then I'm going to come over to the lighting of this. Okay, that's good. Come down over to where is it? Output. Okay, outputs. Change this from composition to illumination. So you should get a dark. Voila, you should get this. I'm going to change this from normal to screen. So now we still have this. So the next thing I want to add is the glow effect. So the next thing we have to do now on this top layer, which is the glow, we need to add in the glow. So come over here and type glow. Sorry for me being a little bit slow today. Double click on this and then change this to 50. Yeah, it should be about 200 or more, or I think 200 will be good. And then change this to 2. So I need you to now hold the glow layer, just select glow layer and then press Ctrl D on your keyboard. Now on this second one, change this to 100, the next one to 100, and I think that's good enough. Yeah, that should be good enough. So the next thing we need to add is on top of the glow layer is an exposer to make it look a little bit more classic. Exposer effect, exposure. Let me close this layer so we can easily find it. So we have the exposure. If I turn it off, you can see it adds make this one. Now it looks a little bit bright. Then the last thing we need to add is vibrance, and then this is it. And then I'll make here about 20. Yeah. So now I need to copy this vibrance and then copy this and then paste it on the second element layer underneath. Press Ctrl C and then Ctrl V to paste it. So now it's on both layer, which is, you can see this one has the vibrance, but the top one has the glow, multiple glow, exposure and vibrance. So here you go, you can actually see how the color looks like now. It's really shiny like gold and everything looks really classic and amazing from here. Wow, you can see the color of the gold, everything is really looking in high res and reflective. So I love to add the camera animation, but I'm not going to be doing that because we've already talked about how to animate the camera in our other previous tutorial. So I think any other thing that will need to be joining on to this is adding the depth of field to the camera. But due to the resolution of this is in high res, you can see how reflective and shiny the golden color is. And yeah, so you guys can actually work this out. I would love to see what you guys can make out on this at the end of this tutorial. So that will be the end of this tutorial. For now, let's move on to the next one.